let me again come in and let me read the English or dictionary definition of the word deployment.
Yes.
It says the movement of troops or equipment to a place or position for military action.
Good.
But from the statement we read from Oyegoke Gbadamasi, who is Assistant Director, Army Public Relations, he says this was a show of force. They were passing. They were not going to station themselves there. It's just like normal patrol.
They said they were on a military exercise.
So
they were on a military mission. They said they were on a military mission, Python dance, a military mission to curb violent agitation.
No, this particular case was not Python dance. This particular case, they say, was not a deployment either. They said this was just an operation show of force. They were passing through the place, as they have always done. And if you say it's a deployment, they say no, it's not.
No, if you pass, I'm saying that passing through. Military does not just pass through. So you were going to a party? What party were you going to attend? In that area. It was a military deployment against a civilian population.
Okay, so if...
For the purpose of terrorizing civilian population, intimidating them, show of force, it's just euphemism for intimidation. Okay, now, when you talk about police show of force and why it is different, police does not target a racial, ethnic group. Well, police, if you see police show of force, it goes on the streets. It's anybody. But this is specific to an area. It is specific to an area. You had said you were going on this Operation Python dance, and you started this. Now, what if, the IPOB people had been armed?
What if they had left the army? What if they had left the army, carry out whatever dance you want to dance or whatever maneuvers you want to maneuver, and leave our place alone? That would have been peaceful.
That's provocation. You're dealing with a civil populace. You're not dealing with a bunch of intellectuals, professors holding a seminar somewhere. You're dealing with common villagers. They are not given to such sophisticated reasoning. And you know that. You should know.
So we've looked to two accounts here. The army is giving their perspective. IPOB has given their perspective. You've given the IPOB the benefit of the doubt, but you've not given the army. Why?
I cannot give the army the benefit of the doubt.
Why?
The reason is simple. If you watch the trend of events, and when you talk about issues like this, it is about trend of events. Now, the military came out, and said that they were going massively against agitations against government. They started with hate speech or what have you, and people who were agitated against national security and things like that. They made those threats.
Who made which threat?
The military. When we're talking about hate speech and all of that.
But he clarified and said, no, that was not a threat. Because they asked him in the studio at the time that what is the army doing about such scenario? He says, look, as it is obtainable in other parts of the world, security, you always monitor things. That does not mean that you are going to threaten people, because he also said the army doesn't have a right to arrest citizens. It's the police that does that.
That after the citizens rose up, after we are just like this, they will soon go on the defensive. When you bring the Constitution and you put it, you use the Constitution to x-ray what they've done. Yeah, so they will go back on the defensive.
Having explained themselves,
yes,
the army spokesperson, why are you still not giving them the benefit of the doubt?
I am not giving them the benefit because I cannot. It's just like a group of what would I call it now? I want to take it off this IPOB thing, or maybe some boys are having a party somewhere. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I've told them, look, I don't like your noise making and all that kind of thing. And the next minute I come with armored vehicles and anti-riot equipment, And while they were making, they said you can go to hell. It's our right to make as much noise as we want. And then you come there. What would you be doing with that? And you say, no, I didn't come to disturb the party. I just wanted to show force. But it doesn't make sense.
Even though that's not what happened.
This scenario that you've painted.
Yes.
Let's suppose that the operations have not ended and it will still continue. will the people, the IPOB members, or what he calls them, some elements, there understand that this is just a military operation, and they are not here to terrorize you, and they are not here to disturb your peace.
No, the people, for that reason, is the police. The police is for that. If you have threat or you perceive suspicion, if you suspect that certain activities are illegal, the police are there. When you have a police commissioner that was not even aware of the movement of the military within his domain, because he couldn't have been saying something different if he was aware. He wasn't aware. The police were not aware. It
appears the army is damned if they do and damned if they don't, from what you're saying.
The military have no. I am saying, how we know about military deployment? When there is a riot, when the civil authorities are overpowered, or there is the likelihood of overpowering civil, then you call in the military.
What will you advise now if these operations were to continue?
No. They have to withdraw the operations. The operations, you have seen it.
That particular one was not a deployment. They say it was not an operation, it was show of force. Are you talking about the larger scale Python dance?
The whole thing, military have
Python dance is in the southeast,
military, if the military understands that the military showing force to civilians amounts to terrorism. That is the legal definition of terrorism. It's to intimidate. Show of force is to intimidate. Because you cannot talk about law enforcement, because that is the duty of the police.
Are you suggesting that whenever show of force happens, it's without a cause?
Show of force by the military in a situation
I'm looking generally speaking.
No.
The concept of the show of force
by the police. Concept of show of force by the police is just a means of reminding the citizens that we have law around here.
What's wrong with that?
No, that is the police.
The police and the army do it.
No, the army, the only time when the army moves, you should understand what the army is not the police. The army is not law enforcement. But I mean, in that sense, army is to quell situations that are beyond law enforcement.
That is if
that's when you bring in the army.
That's if there's a deployment. But they have said it.
You cannot. Army do not have any constitutional right to show force to the civil populace. That's what I'm saying.
Let me then ask you about this. I mean, we've had several comments from IPOB members.
Yes.
We've had them threaten that there will be no elections in Anambra State.
Yes.
Should security look the other way?
Now, in terms of threat, there will be no elections. I mean, let me answer the question. Security here for me, I'm a lawyer. Security is the police. Because if I was police commissioner for Anambra State, for instance, and somebody says, I will look at, I'll put my surveillance on him. I'll put, that's it's not like what we're talking about, this issue of importation of arms. It's surveillance. It's intelligence. You wait for people to break the law. Now, as lawyers, you cannot even interrogate people for what they say, what they think. It is what they do. It is what they do. It's not what they say, it's not what they think, it's what they do. The law is concerned with what people do. Breach of the law is an act. It's not a thought you have in your mind. It's not even what you express with your lips.